I love it. Every time we go live, I always think how magical it is, and the technology to be able to do this is fantastic. So, welcome to this week's show, Andre.
Hey, Mick. Yeah, we're back. I mean, we still doing stuff. It's pretty cool. So, I mean, I'm always excited.
No, we're still alive. We're still fighting, and hey, this show's going to be here even though COVID. Did you see the news this morning that Starnet have cancelled all their live events now for the rest of the year?
Yeah, Mick, I was busy. I was busy speaking to one of the Starnet members, and they said, look, I mean, hey, I mean, we get it. We need to be safe and all the rest of it. But I mean, this is becoming out of control. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. Everybody's thirsty for interaction and to meet up and see old friends and learn new techniques and see how each of us are dealing with the different industry challenges and COVID in of itself. So I'm very disappointed to learn. I'm very empathic with the decision. It's a solid decision based on good health groundings and guidelines.
I'm not, Mick. I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I'm not. I mean, I think.
Well, you have the constitution of an ox, so you don't mind any feast or famine, do you?
No, but here's the thing: if you've been vaccinated, you come. If you haven't, don't come. I mean, it's not. This is not difficult. And I think we have to live life and continue to live life and do things now. The time is this is just taken too long. And people need to make good sound decisions, but there is a vaccine and the vaccine works, and if you choose not to have the vaccine, you got consequences. If you choose to have the vaccine, there you are. Thank you. The bloody democratic basis of which we're living is crazy. I mean, it's not working, and we have to move forward. There's
you don't feel strongly about this, do you?
Well, no. I mean, here's the thing. It's not about. I mean, I just don't think it's something that that is doing us as, first of all, as our industry, and basically as the way we live completely. I mean, it's just decisions are made, I think, in a vacuum.
Hey, we've talked about this, Andre. There is a little bit of a void, is there not? And we're just formulating in our own mind. And I'll put the comment screen on if anybody wants to comment on this. Andre and I have been thinking about having our own event, a live event. I mean, we know what goes on with flooring companies. We know where the opportunities are. We know where the improvements are. And we'd love to share that live and in person. So, anybody that would be interested in coming, we'll probably hold it live in Charlotte at some point. Just leave a little comment in the comment box, whether you're on LinkedIn or YouTube right now.
We love it. Charlotte is a great place because it's a hub, so many people can fly direct into Charlotte, which is great. The other thing is, Mick, we can, we've spoken with some good heavy hitting GCs that we can bring in. We can bring in some selected vendors that maybe can talk with the group in complete independence, because then not affiliated to anything specific, and really have a one of those good rumble type of things.
We want to bring the voice of the customer in. What are they really looking for from a flooring partner, and also voice of the installers. So what are they looking for in terms of a partnership? And we will synthesize those findings and actually parlay that into, we'll do some sales training. We'll show you some business improvement opportunities. Man, Andre, I'm getting excited about it already.
Hey, there you are. So I mean, what because I mean, we're not constrained with all this potential. I mean, hell, if somebody, we just make it very clear, if you've been vaccinated, you are most welcome.
Right. Okay, well, let's you and I work on that,
Okay,
Andre.
let's try and see. Maybe
yeah,
not next show, but the show after that, we make an announcement, guys.
yeah,
This is the date.
And guys, if you're watching now or you're watching in the replay, let us know what you'd like to talk about. Let us know what kind of things you'd like to discover, what topics, and we'll tailor it. We'll certainly tailor it. All right. So anyway, let's get to.
But Mick, here's the thing: topics or no topics, just the value of our industry getting together. We know that people really enjoy that. They enjoy telling each other about how they see the world. What are they doing? What are they, what are others doing? And, people use this word sharing best practice, but hell, man, it's just, we are at the end of the day, we compete, but yet we are a family. And at the end of the day, we're all interested in the well-being of this industry. Right. That is our ultimate goal. And I think just having that as the topic, is powerful on its own. So, I'm excited. Okay, so good. Now we've got off on a completely different.
So we hadn't talked about that before we got on the show. I was just scrolling through my email and I saw that announcement. I thought, hey, well, let's get people together. Let's get some excitement going. I'm definitely thirsty for that involvement. Anyway, today's topic, Andre. It's a continuation from last week, right?
Right. I mean, at least we make a claim and we follow through on the claim. So I think that's one thing. You can give us a little bit of little bit of kudos on that one. But yeah, Mick, I mean, this is something that you and I have been very passionate about, fairly recently, and as we discussed in the last show, we're not going to go through that much. Just there is incredible opportunity to make good money, do good things, and big jobs are just part of our life. It doesn't matter what is being determined to be a big job in your organization. We gave some recommendation, but it is part of your life, and making those jobs successful fundamentally changes your result.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's see if the technology works and I can advance the slide to the next one, Andre.
Look, not bad. Hey, not bad. Hey guys, I must tell you, Mick and I had a bit of a rumble of our own here, because by the time I'd finished with this slide, so please, this is not his design. So I will take full accountability for the design of these slides. And, so Mick was busy saying to me, well, how the hell are they going to read that? You know what I mean? And what does this mean? And oh man, and I just went, okay, obviously my communication capability is zero, but I'll try and dig myself out of that hole. Mick, at the moment we can't hear you.
That's because I put myself on mute because I've got a bit of background noise.
Okay.
But no, Andre, the points that you have that support this slide are absolutely priceless. So I was just thinking, if somebody's watching this on their iPhone, I apologize if you can't read it, but we're going to bring it to life. So just set the stall a little bit, set the scene, Andre, around why do we believe? Oh, we got change there. Why we need radical change. We want some radical change.
Oh my goodness, that's me. Oh, God. Oh, okay.
All right. But we do we do need some change. We need change on the slide, and we need radical change in the sales process. Okay. Take us away on how it works now and where some of the failure points are.
Yeah, Mick. And I mean, as we've discussed many times, and really what I think there's a theme here, as we discussed in the previous thing, there is, we embed potentially through what we allow, right? We embed, the ability to fail. So automatically what people don't understand, I wouldn't say understand, they understand very well, but what happens is that sometimes we win and a big job really gets delivered fantastic, and then the next time it doesn't. So there's absolutely no certainty when it comes specifically to large jobs. The traditional way that we do smaller jobs, it's a different environment. The minute it comes to a big job, suddenly, you get this incredible variation. One I win and I do well, and one I win and I don't do well. And every time it seems to be a surprise. I promise you, it's even you know what? Here's the thing: it's even a surprise when we do well. Never mind when the thing goes south. Well, I don't understand why. And I love what I love the most is the stories that go with a big job going south.
Yeah, the dog ate my homework.
Oh man, there is just, and I mean that's why I love the little graphic on the bottom right hand side of the slide. Everybody is throwing everybody else under the bus. I mean, that bus has more corpses in it than you can absolutely imagine. I mean, it's the customer fault. It's well, sales didn't do what they were supposed to do. Well, estimation got the thing wrong, and yet and every time they say, well, there's a special story behind that one. But if you look at all these special stories, the theme is the same. You know what I mean? It's just. And well, if you look at those little vertical things that are lying there, that's called the wall, right? Okay, and our ability to effectively, I mean, one thing we've perfected, Mick, absolutely to excellence, is to throw things over that wall. I mean, without even that is, that is best of breed.
Gladly throw things over the wall.
Oh man,
I've done the salesman goes, hey, I brought you a great opportunity, washes his hands, throws it over the wall to, pre-construction, and he feels he's done a great job.
Right. I mean, and that's pretty much the standard thing that's happened. And people will even say, no, we don't do that. Yeah, you do. So the thing is, what that makes sales job really very efficient. If you think about it, the wall business makes sales very efficient. They can identify jobs at one incredible rapid rate. I mean, it's like having a machine gun. So we'll lob these damn things over the thing. But estimation, suddenly, everybody estimation, they are completely overburdened, right? And as a result, because they're so overburdened, what do you think happens? Error. So, then pre-construction throws it back to sales, right, over the wall, and as quickly as they possibly can. I can promise you, because you know what? They've got the next one that's coming. And then, what they do is they take this these quantities that have been established, have a quick chat with the vendor, and try and register the damn thing with the vendor. And you know what? No interaction with the customer, zero, nothing. Right.
Yeah, that's a key point, isn't it? Is the customer, and sometimes, I mean, this is quite astonishing. Some of those big jobs go over without the salesperson even talking to the customer first. They just think, okay, I'm going to get this into estimating and get a price, and at some point in the future, I'll talk to them.
Right. No. Well, trust me, in many cases, there is zero intent to talk to them. Zero. So you think about all this stuff that's happened. The customer's not been involved. We've had no investment around the customer. Nothing's happened. And we've got to the point where, we're preparing the proposal. And what do you think we're going to do? We're going to throw it over the wall again. And we're going to submit it to the customer and allow the customer to do all the work.
And we submit it electronically a lot of the time, so very little interaction at that point. We again, it's, hey, job done. Now we just wait for the customer to let us know whether we've won or not.
Right, and then comes this whole process of hope. Okay, that's what happens. I mean, it's a reality. The hope process is something that is so significant, Mick. We've done a lot of research around this. and that we know that if best of breed today is that the follow-up rate is something like 20%. That's best of breed. Now, can you imagine 80% of the work that you're putting in has very, very little investment. There's lots of cost, but very little investment. So, and there is a difference between, all the cost that we've spent on estimating and pricing and all of this stuff, all those resources, plenty of cost, very little investment, specifically with the customer. So we hope, and you know what, when we hope, we land up getting stuff. We land up winning things that we potentially shouldn't have won in the first place.
I got a good comment I wanted to put up on screen from our longtime viewer, Carol Gray there, the elevator lady. Hey, thanks, Carol. If a customer is not connected with sales, I'd assume they don't connect with the bid submitted. It's just a piece of paper. And this is a very, very powerful point that we've got to address on a different show. But yeah, if the customer's not emotionally connected with you, right, your bid is just a number. And if they don't like the number, they'll just throw it into the trash can. Whereas if you've spent a lot of time working with the customer, they're going to go, oh, I really don't want to call Carol and let her know that we're not going to take her bid because she's put so much time into this. We spend a lot of time talking together. But what it does is they're going to have a conversation with Carol, or call her and say, hey, I don't think you're going to get this one. Then Carol will go, well, why not? Ask good questions, do a little bit of a pivot, and it has a chance to, get the job. But Carol, you're absolutely right. If you just go through this whole process and there's no emotional connection, it is just a piece of paper, and it's just not gonna be successful. So yeah, thanks, Carol. And the point
that's pretty profound. I mean,
yeah.
She's absolutely right about that. And I mean, it's sad that the people who get it are the ones that are participating on the show. You know what I mean? Those that don't get it, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so now,
but just to think about the hope, we're not laying the blame at the door of the salesperson. When we talk about hope, the whole organization hopes these large bids are going to come to fruition, and everybody has a role to play. So how do we get more ownership and more people wanting the bid to win and having a process for the bid to win, rather than everybody's hoping that somebody's going to do something, and we know somebody never does anything, right?
That's interesting. So you said the whole organizer. I thought just the salesperson is the one that's doing the hoping.
Well, I think it would be, lack of due diligence if we've got a big bid, and we defined big bids last time of 20 that could be as much as 20% of your profit. In other words, it can materially change the performance of your business. Everybody needs to be invested in that, Andre. Salespeople don't have the total wherewithal and all of the resources at their disposal. Some executive decisions need to be made about how we respond, what resources, what risk we're prepared to take. So yeah, I think it's a business that is hoping.
Well, yeah, look, Mick, yes, the point. The point is, yes, it is organizational hope. You know why it's organizational hope? Because we encourage that behavior. By default, we encourage that behavior. So as an organization, because we are allowing our salesperson to drive this whole engine, right? And then allowing this very silo-driven system, and that is based on hope in most. We allowing it, therefore, we are saying by default, the organization is hoping. And so really this is part of a leadership issue. If we allow that behavior, yes, we are in essence saying that our large projects is based on organizational hope, right? And when you hope for something, Sometimes you get the right thing and sometimes you get the wrong thing. And what happens is, half of the times we get the right one and half of the times we don't. And then we start worrying, then we start getting to understand the difference between something that you are, why one project is successful and one project's not. Well, the hope principle will deliver a combination of both. The hope process will deliver a good project and a bad project. And whatever you get is what you get. And then the problem is right at that point, once we've even won the project, at that point, the salesperson is a little bit disengaged. They've won the project. I'm the man. I'm the guy, right? I've won the project. Now I'm going to go and bid more. So from there, this project is now sitting in an island on its own. In many cases, and I know, we say, well, we don't do. Yeah, you do. And this thing is sitting on an island, and at some point, this thing has to be executed on. And then when we get to the place that it's got to be executed on, purchasing has to be done, et cetera, et cetera. What happens is we realize there's a whole bunch of problems on this job. Did we price this? Did we price third-party warehousing? Oh, we forgot about pricing third-party warehousing. Well, there is no warehousing on, in the middle of flipping New York or wherever the case is. So, so all these idiosyncrasies and potential areas of failure start appearing right once we've won the job. Can you imagine if we eliminate so many of these idiosyncrasies, so many of these potential areas of dysfunction right in the front versus right in the back? How powerful would that be?
Aha. So you must have a solution. Shall we go to the next slide?
Yeah, we have a solution. You and I have a solution, and we've done a lot of thinking about this, and this is our solution.
All right.
Our solution, guys, is that because this is important, right? And it is important that we start getting a different form of engagement around a job. We involve people that, can help these jobs be successful. And essentially, what we're calling a big job team, Mick, is an integration of senior people. These are senior people who are in the know. They are the people that have the ability to influence and direct, good decision making. And the only thing is, if you think about it, you'll see that the sales function is a dotted line in this team. So the only difference between the big job team based on the people that we have identified always stays intact, with the exception of the salesperson. It depends on who's identified. So the salesperson comes in and out. So there's always, potentially a different salesperson that's part of the big job team, depending on that specific project. Okay?
Yeah, and the big job team represent, all aspects of the business. They're able to look at risk. They'll be able to make judgments about, should we invest in this particular opportunity because we can see more coming down. Now, the salesperson doesn't have that decision-making authority. So this team can do things collectively that are more powerful and more innovative than the salesperson could do themselves. But as a cohesive unit, also the big job team, because they do it more than once, they build up a capability, they start seeing patterns, they start seeing best practices, and it's very, 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 very powerful.
Right. And guys, there is senior, very senior, be it the owner or, the CEO to that point. I mean, we would even advocate the CEO is part of the big job team, right? Because at the end of the day, the CEO is got to be engaged in these things that create significant risk for the business.
And one of the things that we could write at the bottom of that slide would be in red: no surprises. You shouldn't ever get to the end of large project and be surprised by something. If you've collectively looked at it, you should know what your chances of winning it are. And so it shouldn't come as should not come out of left field most of the time if this team is engaged in those bids.
Right. So we've got a very senior representative. We've got somebody from finance, right? We've got somebody from operations. We've got somebody from pre-construction or estimating, whichever way you're looking at it. And we have potentially, that's, if we have that in our organization, a representation from, logistics and purchasing, which is a very critical component as well. So that is the nucleus. I mean, isn't that a beautiful word, hey, Mick? I mean, it just absolutely amazes me how I come up with these most significant.
Well, say it again.
Nucleus.
It's nucleus.
What? I got it wrong.
I love it. You know Andre so well that you gotta love him. Yeah. A nucleus, whatever it is, we want one.
Oh man. Oh man. This nucleus, right? That is the nucleus of if you want to understand these very, very important words, I'm the bloke.
Shall we move to... Are you ready for the next slide now? We've done the nuclear one.
Okay, so Mick, the other thing, this is what's so exciting about it, is and I love what you said, this big job team over time, because they really are engaged, they really get to understand how how these things work properly, you know what I mean, and they also part of that continuous improvement process.
Right.
So they then govern the way that work is, this sort of large work is actually driven throughout the whole organization. And by the nature of the ingredients of the team, right? With cross-functional, you see it's there's multiple functions inside there. Automatically, you've just removed all the silos, haven't you?
You have.
So these people now are fully involved in those jobs right from the very beginning. And the big secret here, guys, is that this big job team is responsible for the job life cycle. That is the critical element of what we're trying to do.
Unbelievable, Andre. We actually have a slide on life cycle. Can you believe that? Man, the preparation is awesome.
Okay, guys, and I put my hand up again, and you'll know when Mick does a slide, everybody can understand it. When I do the slide, nobody can understand it.
No, this is a great slide. I'm just going to make it a little bigger so our faces have been blocked out a little bit. I know you won't all be complaining about that.
Oh, definitely not.
But yeah, so here's the process. Do you want to take us through that whole life cycle, Andre, and then we can pick out the elements we think are important to note.
Yeah, please, Mick, help me, because I mean, a lot of this is I mean, you've been so involved in sales, and
Okay, well, let me I'm happy to talk about this this first section in the when. So the blue diamond over there, it's a decision point where the organization, the big bid team, decides whether we're going to commit all of our resources, our energy, and our intention for this project. So I'll just talk a little bit about what's on the left of that decision box. And often the salesperson today, they're going out and they're finding bids. They're motivated to do that. That's what they do. They hunt for big bids. They want big bids because big bids mean big commission, right? And so they throw any big bid is a good bid. Now, what we're asking from the salesperson is, you've got to cut. If it's a big bid, right, we want to help you and the business win it. It's not a teams. Selling is a team sport. It's not an individual sport. So we have to help the salesperson, right? And we're going to help the salesperson qualify these opportunities. So we're going to ask for certain things around, who is the customer? What type of bid is it? Have we worked with them before? What are the criteria for selection? So some conversations have gone on between the salesperson and the potential customer, and that salesperson then has to bring that pre-qualification checklist to the bid team. So automatically, instead of the salesperson throwing every bid over, now he's got to be a little judicious about which ones, because he's got to do some extra work. And
love
right?
that, man. Yes,
and,
yes.
And so is that a good thing or a bad thing that the salesperson has to do extra work? Because I know the salespeople you'll say, well, I'm not so sure that that's a good idea, because if I've got more work, I can put less bids through, and I'll make less sales. What say you, Andre? What say you?
Right. So this is one of my those tasty bits. You know what I mean? Mick, here's the thing. We are asking, and dear salespeople, please, mates. We are asking the salesperson to do the right thing before we start engaging significant resources. And the one criteria, I don't know, I'm sure whether you most probably can't see it on the thing. Right next to the salesperson is the customer. One of the key requirements is that before you go to the big job team and present the reason why you want this proposal to have resources associated to it, in other words, you want authority to proceed, you have to have an integrated discussion with the potential customer. So you will be involved with the customer before you even have approval. That whole research and so the issue about getting authority is that it is the responsibility of the big job team to interrogate. And I'm talking about waterboarding here.
I was going to say collaborate, and you said waterboarding. Okay, we but you're right.
That's why
you got to have a robust argument. Otherwise, we're not going to spend all this money on chasing random, bids.
Yeah. Now, now at this point, so I know, here's the thing, I know where the resistance is going to come, Mick, is the salespeople initially will look at this and they will resist. They will resist. I get it. But I can promise you, Mr. and Mrs. Salespeople, this is what I can promise you. I can promise you that this will make you more successful. There's no doubt about it. And we will prove this to you as we go down the process. Because here's the thing. Once you have presented the reason why you want resources allocated to this bid, you are going to know the requirements of this thing. You're going to know it. And when you start knowing it, the customer gets to know that you know it. So automatically you become valuable to the customer. That automatically creates a bond, doesn't it? It's a bond between you and the customer, right? So now suddenly you virtually got this forced engagement, Nick. And so what I'm looking for is, I'm saying, okay, once you've got that forced engagement, your knowledge around this job is much greater. The resources that we have are fully involved. You've got this big job team that said, hey, this is a good thing to do. So that is the automatic filter that the organization is designing to ensure that the right stuff goes through this filter, right? Now, of course, that's going to mean significant. And Mick, you and I discussed this. So, and I want you to chime in here, because you didn't feel comfortable with the word significant. But I'm saying that
I didn't want to put people off, thinking about this process and this, because really what we're engineering is good discovery, good customer engagement, right? Pre-bid, which is an absolutely critical element. And I didn't want to say significantly, just in case you put people off, but yes, it will significantly change the amount of bids that the salesman is going to put through, but the quality of the bids is going to go up immensely. We're designing for success. We're designing for engagement. We're designing for customer interaction. We're trying to identify customer needs and bring those to the big bid team. So it's all going to, a good salesperson would be doing that anyway. What we're doing is we're baking it in so it's robust. And now you've got support from a multifunctional team, and when you've got your entire organization behind you, you're going to be much more successful.
You're right, and so this is where it becomes very exciting. So now, once the big job team, right, has said, I'm giving you the go ahead to do, right. So, like you said, Mick, suddenly everything changes because, first of all, everybody is very, very much engaged in this job. They know it's the right job. They want they want you to win. And so I wonder if you could, just take us to our process. Mick, we can't hear you. You are
sorry. I'm just putting up a quote there from Carol again. Bingo! Connecting with the customer first to know the real needs. It's certainly a forte of Carol's and their organization. But the closure rate is higher. So reinforcing, what we said. So it's resonating, with our audience of at least one. but she is a very.
We've got an audience of one. Yes.
No, we have more people than that. But thanks, Carol, and good to know that we're on the same page here. So let me put this slide back up again, Andre.
Right. So here's the thing. So Mick, now that we've got our big job team engaged, right? We go ahead and we prepare our bid. Right. So this is where we get everything ready. We get our proposal ready. But before we, submit that proposal to the customer, all right, and there is a requirement for submission as well, right? Before we submit it, we have this proposal review. So this is really where we are, we are ensuring that the big job team is fully engaged in, this is the right proposal. It's got the right ingredients. It's priced right. It's reflecting the components of what the customer is requiring, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And importantly, Andre, the business understands the risk and is comfortable with the execution risk as well as the pricing that's been put together. Because we've got to, once we've landed one of these big things, we've got to make sure we deliver it well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that proposal review is preparing the salesperson to have that discussion when they present their proposal to the customer.
Oh, hold on a minute there, Andre. That's way radical. You don't want to just email it. You want to present it, do you?
Not only do I want to present it, it's the law. It's the freaking law.
There's a new sheriff in town. Absolutely.
Right, it's the law.
If you've invested, these big bids, they take countless hours of everybody's time to be able to put these things together. And it would be reckless to just send that and hope that you're going to win on the lowest price or the last look. You have got to be intimate, as Carol said earlier. If you're emotionally connected with the customer, they'll have a conversation. You present the pros and cons, the risks. You show your expertise, and in that moment, you are differentiating yourself from all of those other, would be competitors.
Okay, and now, Mick, now that you have prepared your salesperson for the best way to present their proposal, their completed proposal to the customer. The salesperson is armed very differently to what they were when they were just a single island on their own trying to figure it out. Okay. And the next stage is, of course, there is the win strategy. So now that, remember, we're still competing with others, and the big job team is involved with the salesperson and potentially directly with the customer if it's needed. So they will determine,
And look, it's not even just the salesperson who should be interfacing with the customer. Like, if you can demonstrate your breadth, the way that you've thought about it, your operational integrity, your financial acumen, your ability to, price and estimate and put different materials in there, or, your strategy to involve all members of your team getting involved in either in the presentation or subsequent discussions. You'll be picking up intelligence about, where the customer's, feeling, what are some of the others you're competing against. So together, you really tighten up that strategy and that ability to win. It's a team, as I said before at the beginning, selling is a team sport. The salesperson is the executive responsible for driving the sales process and, the velocity, the deal velocity, making sure that we get through. But ultimately, the salesperson can only be successful if they've got the entire organizational might behind them.
Right. And the nice part about that, Mick, is with the big job team, they will have the experience, right? So even if the salesperson is not 100% experienced, even if there is a lack of capability there, the big job team can carry some of that load. And if they need to, and they will know, when do we need to have further integration with the customer, and throughout the whole life cycle. So it's yes, it's the salesperson's responsibility to ensure that process is going the right way. Okay, but how we interface with the customer, that's going to be driven by the salesperson and the big job team. So you've really got this a way of truly setting up the organization for success, right? And that's what we're looking for. Not only success in the winning of the job, not only success in the selecting of the job, but also success in not the most important, but a critical component in how we execute the job, right? So, Mick, on this issue, we have a philosophy, right? And what's that philosophy? The sales brings in the first job.
And operations delivers the rest.
Right. And operations will ensure that sales can deliver the next or bring in the next job. So we are only as good as the way we execute. And and the more I'm sort of getting involved, execution excellence is absolutely critical. And
Andre, just before you move into the execution side, at that job one stage, right, whether it's job won or job lost, we would recommend that the bid team, the big job team, do a win-loss review. So if you lose it, we want to understand why and what could we do differently in the future. But when we win things, sometimes we don't actually think about why did we win. And if we understood why we won, it's going to help us with our pre-qualification about the type of jobs we go after and the process we use to win. So don't just, people get all upset when they don't win a big job and there's kind of finger pointing at the end. But we don't ever celebrate, okay, why did we win? What did we do? How can we make sure we do that more frequently? So win-loss review, both outcomes are okay. If we followed this process and we put our best resources together and we lost, that's just the way it is. But we had our best game out there. And we can learn something from that. So whether we win or we lose, big job team sits down with the salesperson and we map out why we won or why we lost. But anyway, then it gets to the challenging part of execution. So how do we make sure we deliver this beastie now?
Right. So the nice part about this, when we get to execution, there is full knowledge of this project. I mean, and here the project, the large project management team, or the big job team, whichever way whatever acronym you want to give it, it's like the FBI. Boy, this is the 3-letter acronym.
Everything but nucleus.
Right. Bingo. Nice. Okay. So the big job team is now still part of this project. During the execution phase, they have accountability in planning this job. They have accountability with regards to procuring, the job site management, billing and financial management, and ultimately completion management. They are involved in that whole cycle. And it's either a very, very strong direct involvement, depending on the organizational capability, or it's more of a mentoring type of involvement, mentoring/monitoring type involvement, right? But they're involved. They're in the know. They know. They will know before, pretty much even before the customer. This is the idea. They will know before the customer that something is not right. And they will be able to help with corrective action damn fast,
Yeah.
and that there is, so you have this, you have this baby that you are nurturing from, birth to actual completion. And yes, does that involve work from this big job team? Absolutely. Is this something the most sexy thing that the executive wants to do? Not really. But I tell you something now, you give this that energy, you give this you set this up right. The ability to be successful in this area is significant. And you know what? Here's the thing, Mick. The more capable your organization is in delivering these big jobs, right? If that's what you do, the absolute fundamental difference between moving from being relatively mediocre from a financial viewpoint to fairly strong is significant. It's a game changer. But more importantly, it's a game changer with the customer as well.
Yeah, and essentially what you're doing when you've got this integrated approach to execution, you're in the fire prevention business, not the firefighting business. There's no point at the end of a project firefighting and trying to chase some change orders that haven't been agreed. We want to know up front if we're going slightly off track, what can we do differently from an execution perspective, prevent big problems from happening, nip things in the bud, keep the customer engaged, and life will be a whole lot easier.
All right. Well, that's our solution, guys. And it's radical. All right. It's radical because you know what? It requires work from a different, it requires work to be done differently. And yes, it does require executive ownership and executive leadership. So if you're not prepared to do that, well, get the same result. Do the same thing and get the same result. And good luck to you.
All right. On those wise words, Andre, we will leave our audience and we're going to see you next week. We'll have some exciting things to share with you next week. So tune in the same time, 11 o'clock Wednesday next week. Thanks a lot.
Bye, guys.